Hi, good morning, class 7. And I guess you guys are doing great and fine and taking care of yourselves. Happy, safe, keeping yourself safe at home and studying, eating, playing, everything doing together. So, in time wise, in a disciplined manner. Well, that's great. And it's good to be back. So, we are on that English part. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I had given you the basic information all about it, and we had talked about the William Butler Yeats, your poet also. And I want to just finish it off today, and after that we'll go to the Unit 8 part, an astrologer's day. What do astrologers do, and what is all astrology about? We'll come to know who are the right people who try to fool you. Again, it's written by R.K. Narayan, and we'll do that later in the next class. So today, what we are going to do is we'll do uh, the astrologer's day. Okay, so we'll sorry, the Lake Isle of Innisfree will finish today. Okay, so we'll start that. Like basic it is the Lake Isle of Innisfree is a beautiful poem. Actually, it depicts a speaker's longing to leave the city and spend time on the isle. Who is the speaker here? The poet himself. It might be the poet himself, or an imagined character, or a creature, or even an object. The speaker, whatever it can be. He speaks of Innisfree in this idealistic way, describing the almost magical qualities of the different times of day and the unbroken solitude, the soulness, the peaceful loneliness and peace he will achieve once he goes to that place. The speaker within this piece, actually, this poem, piece of poem, relates peace directly to nature. And throughout the poem, it is all about nature and quietness, solitude. It is revealed at the end that the speaker is dreaming so intently about reaching Innisfree because he lives in an environment that does not contain natural elements that are critical to his happiness. Concrete jungle. He doesn't like that place. Yeats asks the reader, us, there are three parts in the poem, or there are three type of themes in nature, peace and spirituality. These three things are there. These three themes are always interrelated in our lives also. Now Yeats is asking us, we the readers, to regard nature as he does, valuable in and of itself, without human intervention. It is a place to find peace and connect with the world on a deeper spiritual level, because it is so far from that was so far from that which we actually commonly experience in day-to-day life. The isolated nature of this natural area that he is longing for is also an element of his happiness. It is an escape from industry or industrialism, as well as from other people, going into solitude, quiet place, to get connected with yourself. Okay, that is what is all about. There are some parts here, as in I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. When this poem is read aloud, the repeat use of the letter I creates the motion that how he's describing the waves. After that, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavements grey. The poet has chosen not only to rhyme the ending of this word, of this line, grey, with the ending word day, but has also rhymed to exist it with the line itself, grey rhyming with roadway. Okay, so if you read, you will come to know. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. These words have several different senses, encouraging us to feel and hear the scene, or trying to see the scene in our minds. Okay. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 beams row will I have there, a hive for the honeybee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. He's telling us about his intentions, what he is wanting to do. He will arise and go now. He'll get up and go to the Isle of Innisfree. He's repeated the word go twice. Made this choice to provide special emphasis on the importance of the speaker's action. Yeats is determined, or the speaker is determined, he must, will, and go to Innisfree. The second line provides as additional details to what he is going to do when he gets there. He plans to create a small home for himself. The use of the word small in the line gives the impression that he's only going to be the only one living in the house, without a family or relations of any kind. He plans to build the cabin from clay and wattles, sticks and rods. Once he is living in this small cabin, he dreams of having 9 rows of bean plants and a hive for presumably many bees. In the next line, he says the glade, a small clearing in a forest, a place in a forest filled with that sound, with bees humming around, bees, insects, away from the noise from the town, the city, and whatever. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There's midnight, there midnight's all a glimmer, and the noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. His desire to travel to Innisfree to find peace. He's trying to relate himself with peace and nature. He's describing peace as dropping slow from the vales of the morning to the crickets in the evening. He relates peace to morning dew. In the glade, he'll be surrounded by it. From the leaves on the trees to the grass on the ground where the crickets sing. There are 3 more times of the day and the magical qualities they possess on the lake Isle of Innisfree. The The importance of the daydream to the speaker till midnight glimmer. Noontime glows purple and the evening is full of beating of linnet wings, a small brown grey finch type of insect with reddish brown. It's type of red. This gives that it flies around in the evenings. That's what he's trying to say. I will arise and go now for always night and day. I hear water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavements grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core. He's hearing those sounds inside him. He has to go. For always, night and day, I'm going to stay there. This part, the speaker is trying to shake himself about his daydream, in which he has described the scene on the lake isle of Innisfree and begins to address the real world. Once he is going to leave for the isle, reinforcing the importance of the other uses of go. He's always repeating that he's going to leave his home, and create a new one. He's actually ever going to go. Is he actually ever going to go? Has his dream been something he's now going to realize, or does it only exist in his mind? This will stay inside the mind because as the poem concludes, he does not reach there. The speaker or Yeats hears the water lapping all at the shore all day and night. This dream has become a mantra in his mind. It's an obsession that has come to haunt him. And it is no more prevalent that when he stands on the roadway or on the pavement grey, it is now evident that the speaker is wishing to escape a world that is antithetical to his ideas of peace and happiness. It seems that the speaker lives in a city, or is somewhere in which he is surrounded by roads and pavements, both on which are not classical manifestations for nature, or rather of nature. The poem concludes on a very soft note. I hear it in deep heart's core, to refer to the sounds of the waves lapping on the shore. The haunting images of the lake isle Innisfree are not heard in his head but in his heart. The reader is left with unanswered questions regarding the reality to the speaker's plan to go now and go to Innisfree. Will the speaker ever make it from his current home situation to the peace he needs to achieve happiness? Or will he remain in a city or town stuck in a fantasy daydream he will never realize? Correct? This is all about the poem, and I'll come back in the next video. Read the poem and try to understand it as much as you can. You will come to know. Okay?